Good Saturday morning, and thank you so much for joining us this weekend. I'm Maria Cade. It is a First Alert 6 weather day, and you're going to want to brace yourself for some chilling temps and potential snow depending on where you live. Here's meteorologist Jarrett Lansford with the details. Jarrett, thank you. Omaha police are investigating a shooting that sent 3 people to the hospital. It happened near 61st in Bedford around 9 last night. Omaha Dispatch tells us 1 person was taken to the hospital with life-saving measures being performed. The other victim's injuries are believed to be critical. Right now, it's not clear what led up to the shooting or if any arrests have been made. But if you have any information about this incident, call Omaha Crime Stoppers. The Nebraska State Patrol says they arrested a man from Tennessee for online enticement. According to NSP, 54-year-old Dylan Summers contacted who he believed was a 13-year-old girl. However, the person he reached out to was actually an undercover investigator with the Nebraska State Patrol. Summers allegedly discussed sexual acts in these online conversations. He was eventually arrested and charged with sexual assault by use of electronic communication and online enticement. Former Nebraska football coach Scott Frost is suing the school's Board of Regents. He's accusing the school of breaching his contract and mishandling millions in buyout payments and taxes. Frost claims the university wrongly stopped payments he said are owed to him under his employment contract. Now, those would be for 2025 and 2026. Frost was fired in 2022. Now he's seeking a court order confirming Nebraska's right to lower those payments and at least $5 million in damages. For Nebraska state senators who want to see inside the new ICE detention facility in McCook on Monday, the time to speak up has come and gone. First Alert 6's Ron Johnson talked to senators about that trip across the state. Some say it's the right move, while others question why they can't just drop in when they feel like it. That was Ron Johnson reporting. Again, the tour is Monday. It's happening at 1 o'clock in McCook. Senator Dorn tells us 5 or 6 senators have completed the form to attend. Now to a crash causing a massive backup at an Omaha intersection. Police say a driver was turning at 114th and Center when the car collided with another driver in the intersection. Officers say 3 people went to the hospital, 2 of them with serious injuries. Because of the extent of damage on the cars, officers say it took them hours to get that scene cleared. Iowa officials are seeing the results they hoped for nearly 6 months after the state's hand-free law took effect. Across the state, law enforcement have issued nearly 10,000 warnings so far, giving drivers a card explaining what is allowed and what is not allowed under the new law. Drivers can only use phones hands-free, so that's through a single button press on the wheel, dash, or console. The device cannot be in your hand at all. And the Iowa State Patrol says their numbers show the impact that small change has had.
And so far this year, we have seen a reduction in almost 23% of our lowering of our fatalities.
Officials believe the state could report fewer than 300 traffic deaths in a single year, and this would be for the first time in a century. But drivers beware, those warnings only last through the end of the year. On January 1st, violating this hands-free law could cost you a $100 fine. Turning back to our First Alert 6 weather day coverage, with more snow on the way and some areas under a winter weather advisory, University of Iowa Healthcare is reminding people to plan ahead while clearing up that snow. UIHC's physical therapy supervisor recommends taking breaks, laying down salt, and wearing the right shoes so you avoid slipping on the ice. And above all, you want to listen to your body.
One we like to be really cognizant, though, is chest pain. So like a heart attack is very common when people are shoveling snow. It's an activity we don't do very often, and we do a lot of it, so it can be really strenuous.
Experts warn anyone to take muscle pain very seriously, and they also encourage you to ask your neighbors for help if you need it clearing that snow. Now, of course, you can always stay up to date on the winter weather using our First Alert 6 apps and online at firstalert6.com. On our website, you can find the latest forecast and a list of closures. You can also send us any photos or videos you take of the snow. Again, that's our website, firstalert6.com. Turning now to your Big Red Extra coverage with Nebraska volleyball hand handling business in order to keep its win streak going. The top-ranked Huskers improved to 33-0 after defeating Kansas in the Lincoln Regional Final last night, playing for a spot in the Elite Eight. And they did it in just 3 sets. Tomorrow, the Huskers face Texas A&M in the regional final. The first serve is at 2. And Creighton fans, you can keep celebrating too. The Jays recently punched their ticket to a second straight Elite Eight after beating Arizona State in 4 sets. Now, all that separates the Jays and the program's first Final Four is the #1 seeded Kentucky Wildcats.
Final Four has been on our board for a really, really long time. So maybe the outside world didn't think that we'd be in this position right now, but I know our team did. And so just really excited to be competing another day with this team and hoping to take some people to Kansas City next week.
Now that game will be a battle of the only 2 teams to take Nebraska to 5 sets this season. First serve is today at 4. And taking a live look outside with our Union Bank and Trust CityCam network, this is a look at 144th and Dodge. Getting the morning off to a great start. It could be pretty cold in some areas depending on where you live. You might see some snow too. Jared will have the latest when we come back. Welcome back. An Omaha 5th grader's big heart is catching the attention of a pretty big name. We told you about Grayson Thomas not so long ago. He spent 3 years putting together care packages to donate to local nonprofits and shelters. Our Sydney Babb learned how a small gesture is growing into something statewide. Wow, what incredible work. After years of making these kits, Grayson and his parents told us that while they've lost count of the exact number, he's made and donated hundreds of kits. Welcome back. We have new video showing urgent rescues in the flood zones of Washington State. NBC's Camila Bernal and her team are there as those rescues continue. Just incredible video to see there. Going back to our First Alert 6 Weather Day coverage. Before you head out, you might want to grab your coat and bundle up, Jared. It's going to be pretty cold out there, right?
And it's not just this morning, it's all day long.
Look, Jared, I know it's December, but I like the sound of 50s next week. We're looking forward to that. Thanks
It's
again.
going to help out a lot for people who are trying to travel, too, with that quiet forecast.
Very true. I'm going to be one of them. Thanks, Jarrett. On this day in history, the Tri-Faith Initiative took an important step forward. In 2011, representatives from the Jewish community, Muslim community, and the Episcopal Diocese of Nebraska came together to announce they had each purchased their own land at the former Ironwood Golf Course. Over the next 9 years, a synagogue, a mosque, and a church were built on the 38 acres, along with a Tri-Faith Community Center. It's the only place of its kind in the world. How incredible. Well, still ahead, the University of Nebraska hit with a shocking lawsuit. We'll tell you why and from whom when we come back. Plus, state senators are set to get their first look inside a Nebraska ICE facility. We'll tell you the questions they're hoping to get answered next. Welcome back. Now to the drama inside the courtroom. Fired Michigan head coach Sharon Moore facing home invasion and stalking charges. Prosecutors say he terrorized his staffer who had just broken up with him. Here's NBC's Shaquille Brewster. That was Shaquille Brewster reporting. Now to those new images from Jeffrey Epstein's estate. The photos were released by Democrats on the House Oversight Committee. President Donald Trump is one of the many powerful figures seen in the photos. One of the images shows Trump with 6 women whose faces are protected. At the White House yesterday, Trump downplayed photos he and other notable names are seen in.
There were new Epstein photos released today showing you and also Bill Clinton, Steve Bannon. What were your reaction to those new photos that were released
Well,
today?
I haven't seen it, but I mean, everybody knew this man. He was all over Palm Beach. He has photos with everybody. I mean, almost, there are hundreds and hundreds of people that have photos with him. So that's no big deal. I know nothing about it.
Now, none of the photos show any alleged sexual misconduct, and none are believed to show underage girls. The White House says House Democrats are releasing, quote, cherry-picked photos to try and create a false narrative. Turning back to your First Alert 6 Weather Day coverage now. Some areas could be seeing snow. We saw a little bit on the city cam earlier. Jarrett, what can we expect?
Yeah, we're going to be looking at these rounds of light snow in the Metro issue, but once we get past the next 36, 48 hours, it's going to feel a whole lot better in our area.
Yeah, but for the time being, get out that coat, those gloves, the scarf. Definitely want to stay warm.
For sure.
Jarrett, thank you. With the clock ticking on health insurance deadlines, House Republicans are hoping to finalize their plan by the end of the weekend. The House could vote on the plan next week. With the subsidies for the Affordable Care Act expiring, Americans who use the plan could see their premiums double on average. House Speaker Mike Johnson says his party still has some details to work out.
Everybody is coming together on the final plan. We're still working on the final details of it. There's some great ideas put on the table just now. This is going to be a great piece of legislation that everybody will unite around.
Thursday, the Senate rejected two plans, one backed by Republicans and one backed by Democrats. Those expiring health care credits were, of course, the catalyst of the historic government shutdown. UNO is opting into a House settlement for the next school year. The deal allows the school to share revenue directly with student athletes. In June, the college announced they would not participate this school year, saying it could create some problems for current athletes. Now, UNO says it's time for them to jump in and says the move will make them more competitive and align them with their conference peers. Well, we do want to send a big thank you to everybody watching this morning. Our Omaha community, you really stepped up for our Stuff the Truck food and toy drive. Well, we can now tell you that more than 5,000 toys were collected, and that tops last year's total by more than 700. We also collected nearly 31,000 pounds of food and more than $5,800 in cash. Of course, everything is going right back to local families right here in the metro. So again, thank you so much for all of your help. Coming up next, we have a sneak peek of Saturday Night Live. While you won't want to miss it tonight, right here on First Alert 6. Plus, from an emergency landing to a deer in a holiday store. Yeah, you want to stick around for this week's weirdest and wildest stories when we come back. Welcome back. We're taking a live look outside at the CHI Health Center. Later today, Creighton men's basketball will be facing Kansas State. Tip-off starts at 2. Well, a small plane lands on top of a car on an interstate and a deer goes berserk in a holiday store. Can you believe that? We might have all seen that video, but if you didn't, here's Jeremy Roth with this week's weirdest and wildest stories.
Take a look at the week we had. Wild video from Florida captured a small plane making an emergency landing and crashing down on top of a car traveling along Interstate 95. Amazingly, the driver of the vehicle escaped with only minor injuries, and neither of the plane's two occupants were injured at all, according to authorities, but it did snarl traffic and spawn a federal investigation. Terrifying video released from an Australian government investigation showed the moment a skydiver's parachute got caught on the tail wing of a plane, leaving the man helplessly dangling some 15,000 feet in the air. Officials said the skydiver's handle snagged on the wing flap, deploying the reserve chute, which then got stuck. The man was injured in the incident, but was able to cut himself loose before deploying the main chute and making it safely to the ground. In South Carolina, a midair contraband delivery was foiled by Department of Corrections officers who intercepted an aerial drone attempting to drop a bag containing marijuana steaks, crab legs, and more inside the walls of the Lee Correctional Facility. Clearly, someone was expecting a little hovering holiday cheer, but the SCDOC said, not up in here. Finally, police in Jonesboro, Tennessee had to figure out how to rein in a deer, the non-rein kind, which crashed through the entrance of a holiday store where it arose quite a clatter, causing some damage and eventually getting itself wedged in a wooden armchair, which ended up providing a convenient carrying case of sorts, allowing the officers to transport the freaked out animal back outside where it clambered off into the night. For Take a Look at This Week, I'm Jeremy Roth.
Well, that is definitely something you don't see every day. The gambling scandal tied to baseball superstar Shohei Ohtani is headed to television. Starz is developing a new drama based on the rise and fall of his former interpreter. The interpreter was fired by the Dodgers last year after being accused of stealing millions of dollars from Ohtani to cover gambling debts. He pleaded guilty to bank fraud and tax evasion and was sentenced to nearly 5 years in prison. Well, tonight is the next to last Saturday Night live episode for 2025, and actor Josh O'Connor is making his hosting debut alongside musical guest Lily Allen. O'Connor stars in the latest Knives Out murder mystery. It's on Netflix, called Wake Up Dead Man. He also won an Emmy for his role as Prince Charles in The Crown and was in the critically acclaimed movie Challengers. But O'Connor has discovered this week that his theater experience is a little less applicable to SNL than he thought.
It's very unique. I mean, initially, I kind of went into this week thinking it was just going to be like theatre and how I started in my career, but in theatre you know your lines and there aren't boards to read your lines from, so it's different in that way, and that's kind of scary. But yeah, it's definitely a unique experience.
You know, I've seen SNL live twice in New York City, and it definitely is unique. As always, you can watch tonight's SNL episode right here on First Alert 6. And next week, it's the final show of 2025. Ariana Grande is hosting. I'm excited for that. And Cher as the musical guest. Well, it is the perfect day for some hot chocolate, and not just because it's cold, but because it's National Cocoa Day. Hot cocoa is a deliciously simple mix of cocoa powder, sugar, and hot milk or water. Americans frequently use the terms hot cocoa and hot chocolate interchangeably. I think I just did a second ago, but hot chocolate is actually different. It's made from ground chocolate containing cocoa butter mixed with hot milk. The more you know, Jarrett.
Yeah, I didn't know that, but either one would be great today. It's going to be cold all day long, and it is a First Alert 6 weather day for the combination of some light snow and that bitter cold that we'll have. On and off bursts of some light snow that will be dry, powdery for us in the metro. Less than an inch, but that coating could make it slick. More to the north and east. Wind chills near 0 all day long, though, and we'll go down below 0 with the air temperature by the time we're starting off our day tomorrow. There's where the snow is at right now, and you can see the bulk of the most consistent snow is north and east, but not picking up on what's happening in the metro. We do have a little bit of some light snow that is happening at this point. There's where our temperatures go all day long. You see just not much in the way of motion. Should shut most of that off as we get toward the middle of the day today. A few flakes possible early in the afternoon that will clear out tonight. That's where we'll drop those temperatures off at that point. So it is looking like a day where we're going to be looking at things staying quite cold, and once we get beyond today, we start off with those bitter cold temps tomorrow, below 0, wind chills down around 10 below in the metro, a tad bit colder if you have more snow on the ground north and east of the metro, near 21 for our high tomorrow, and then the much more warm, mild air arrives. That keeps us from dropping off much for Sunday night as we go through the rest of the forecast from Monday on. 40s, 50s for our highs. Not much in the way of precip either. Got to watch that time frame from Wednesday night into Thursday. That's our only other real chance for any kind of precip. But once we get beyond the next 36 hours, it's going to be feeling so much better. But in the meantime, you got to bundle up.
Get that coat, gloves, scarf, but I am looking forward to Tuesday and Wednesday. Cannot wait for that.
50s, it's going to be so nice.
I know, December. We'll take it, right?
Absolutely.
Thanks, Jared, and thank you so much again for joining us. Have a great Saturday.